As promised, the Lockright video. The garage is a complete disaster. I had a brake light switch go out. All kinds of fun stuff on the old. I think I'm going to start calling her Old Dixie. Just because she reminds me of the South. But anyways, I'm going to start on this Lockright right now. Burning the midnight oil. It's like about 1 in the morning right now. But that's when the old battle axe is asleep, so I can get some stuff done. So I got this thing unboxed. I'm putting this in a GM 10 bolt. So as you can see, it's just an old GM 10 bolt I put in this F100. It's the C-clip design. They claim that you only have to take the right side axle shaft out. This truck needed new rear disc and pads, so I've already done that on the left side, because it says the ring gear side you don't have to remove, and the left side is the ring gear side. So that's already done over there. Over here we'll put a new brake rotor, new pads, put a new rotor, new pads, all that fun stuff on this side. After we get the differential locker put in there. As you can see, you have to remove the brackets, the rotor, the caliper, which is all laying here. You can see it all. That's the first thing you have to do on this passenger side, because remember, the driver's side shouldn't have to come off according to the instructions, but we all know how that goes. Whenever we get the pin out of the differential, but there's a pin between the spider gears, you'll be able to push this axle in and it'll release a C-clip. And I'll try to show that the best that I can. Alright, we're going to come back in a few minutes and take a look at the diff. So here's what came with the Lockright. We got a new pin. We got some other pins. And some springs and more pins. 2 beefy chunks of metal that go in there, and you can see those grooves. I believe that's where it separates and releases. And the pins have springs. Well, the pins will probably go here, and your springs will probably go here, and that's how the thing moves and releases, and then turns, and that'll release one wheel so you can turn. So far everything's real nice and beefy. You got a sticker. I don't know about that sticker. I mean, that was nice of them to send a sticker, but it's not pretty. That's about all we got up here on the dirty old bench. We'll take a look at this diff next. Alright, here we go. You're probably going to get a picture of my old bald head up here. Alright. On this carrier, there's a 5/16 bolt. We're going to pull this 5/16 bolt. I've already pulled the diff cover and drained this. The instructions say to clean everything, but I was just in here. I took it all apart to count my splines, make sure I ordered the right part. Because I got this rear end from a junkyard, so I don't know the history. I don't know if anybody changed anything. None of that kind of stuff, so it was better safe than sorry. We're gonna have to turn the old drive shaft. Get that to a place we can pull it. Be sure you're in neutral and that you got the wheels blocked. I gotta remember where I pulled this at. There we go. There's one little spot there. It'll come out. Alright. Now. See, I've already been in here, so everything's going to come apart real easy. Yours probably won't if you haven't been into it recently. I wish I wasn't doing this at 1 in the morning, but it's that time of year. Just don't have time for much else. Alright. There's the factory pin. Now whenever I rotate this, a lot of this stuff might just pop right on out of there. As you can see, a couple of the spiders are already working their way out. Just pretty normal. Alright. Here's one. Alright, so we're going to push passenger side in. The C-clip fell out. That's what retains the axle. Now that the C-clip's out, you can yank the shaft out a couple inches, and that's supposedly all you need. Alright, now we can remove the other spider from the back. Alright, now there's one on the inside here. Yeah, I had to shut the video off for a minute because I had to pull the other wheel off. The C-clip wouldn't come out like the instructions said, and I didn't want anybody's kid hearing a bunch of new curse words, because I will definitely invent some in a heartbeat. Okay, so disregard not having to pull anything over here on this side, on the driver's side with the ring gear, because I had to pull the wheel off, unbolt the bracket. I just needed like a little fraction to get that C-clip off. No big deal, but still, when you've read the instructions and it clearly says you don't have to pull the driver's side or the ring gear side off when you have C-clips, that's what you're expecting. That's not what I got. Alright, I'm going to try to not mix up these washers. These thrust washers have to go back in there. I got to inspect these again, since last time I checked them was when I went in here to count my splines and check, make sure everything's good. We're going to make sure none of these are cracked. I've got like any kind of worn grooves in them or anything. Yeah, these are pretty good. That's my passenger. Let's see how the driver's side looks, if she'll come off there. Okay, she's loose. This ain't easy for a fat man. Hanging out under this old truck. Alright, everything is usable here. No reason to change any of this. I'm going to go ahead and put the driver's side back on, because this is where you're supposed to start. Alright. They claim, let's see if I can keep from getting my parts dirty here. They claim that all this stuff will go in put one coupler in. We're going to put the C-clip on the axle. Now I'm going to push the axle up against the coupler. And then I believe we can put, this looks like a little spacer. It fits over the C-clip. Alright. Now they're calling this other piece a driver. They're calling it a driver. And it apparently goes over the spacer. And you're supposed to put shear pins in there. Alright. Looks like it's going to be 2. So there's a bag that has 4 in there. And that'll be 2 for each one. Looks like they want them in the round holes. But they don't seem to sit flush. And say to place shear pins into the windowed holes. So you can see 2 of these holes have windows. 2 of them, I would say, just have like a smaller window. The ones with a smaller window, it wouldn't make sense because they stick up. The ones with the big windows, the shear pins go all the way in. So that's what we're going with here. Now, for some reason, it shows those flush. I'm going to try these other shear pins and see if they're different. Could just be the instructions are not accurate again. These are all the same shear pins. Oh man, nope, I'm good. Thought I forgot to put the spacer in for a second on the driver's side, but nope. I got it. I did something right. Alright. Coupler in. So they don't fall out. Use the good old red grease. This isn't per the instructions, but well, the instructions do actually say to use grease to hold everything together, so, and to lube it up while since the oil's not going to be saturated into the diff very well, it'll lube it very first. Okay, so I wonder if you have to put it in and turn it. It's got flat sides on it. So you put it in with the flat sides towards the flat edges of the diff carrier, and then you turn it and install it. I don't want to stay, so we're going to have to take it, turn it. We're going to grease it. Still good there. We're going to grease this bad boy up so it stays. We're going to glue her all in there. Alright. Both of these got a recess. Both of these got a recess on them, so I'm assuming. And there went my light. Alright. So, I think we're back in action here. I had to reassess what the heck I was doing here. Alright, so I've got the left coupler pushed in with grease holding it in there. I've got the spacer in the middle. I've got the coupler on this side in without the C-clip. Now Now I have to put the other spacer in. So you have to grease all these teeth so that it sticks in there. These flat sides are so you can slide it between the carrier sides. That's how you'll slide it in there. And you have a groove right here, not a groove but like a notch, and apparently that's your window to install your C-clips. Both sides are machined the same, so that's what I had to check on, was make sure I had didn't have a left and a right and all that sort of BS, but I don't. So far, most of the BS has just been not having to pull the ring gear side shaft. I ended up having to do that, but that's okay. Wasn't no big deal. Just had to take the wheel off and take the caliper loose. Actually, I just took the caliper bracket loose and moved it all over. Alright. So, whenever we put this in there, we have to get the spacer and we have to get this piece in there. Now it was saying, let me get my shear pins in there before I forget. Hold them in with grease. Grease. Alright, looks like she will stay in there if we grease her up real good. Man, you gotta glue all this stuff together. Otherwise you ain't gonna get nothing in there. Alright. So we're gonna have to stick it out with the flat edges like this and then turn it like this. Okay. And then we're gonna have to get the C-clip in along with the spacer. Alright, here's the C-clip. So let's see if this little groove will guide us, or if there's some other way of doing this. Alright, I'm going to move the axle around a little bit. Let's see. Okay. Alright, that was fairly easy. Alright, C-clips in. We got spacers, we got all that fun stuff. Alright. Now, let's get this guy to mesh up. Alright. There we go. She's glued in there. Now there's we got that cap on the inside. You know, she came off, but we got that cap on the inside that has to go over the C-clip. Oh yeah, it went right down. So far this has been fairly easy, besides it lies on the instructions. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't a lie, maybe I just wasn't smart enough to figure it out. Alright. All those pieces are in there. These shear pins don't want to move. There we go. Alright, so I use a straight pick. I'm going to push these shear pins over into the other driver. You can see it come through this peephole here. Then the instructions say to stack up a couple of spring assemblies, which we've got quite a few here. We're going to grease them all together because a smaller pin goes in, a smaller spring goes inside of a bigger spring like this. And that's what we have to shove through these windows. I'm going to try to do these hard windows first. Use a flathead screwdriver. Oh man. Okay, so they just got a flat area that they snap into. Make sure I still got my assembly. Alright, shouldn't be a big deal here. Actually, they went most of the way in with my finger. Just had to finish them off with a flathead. Alright, we'll do the same on the other ones. I put the center pin in there just to give me some leverage to go on. And oh, you see that catch? That's what I'm talking about. Can't mess with me out here. Alright, there's another shear pin pushed over. We'll take a big spring and a small spring. Make us a little spring assembly. Oh, get you guys back straight. A little spring assembly here. Shove her in the hole. Yeah, they go in most of the way with your finger if you're strong. And I mean, you just gotta pop a little bit of it in there with a screwdriver at that point. It's always good to have spare parts. Life would suck if you didn't end up with extra parts. Ooh, fat man stuck. Fat man stuck. Call the fire department. Fat man down. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to reposition here. This ain't easy. Alright. We'll turn the drive shaft, line her up. I'm gonna grease this up too. It's a little dirty now. I don't know that this rag's gonna make it any better, but I'll probably have to spray all this down before I put her back together. Alright, got a little bit of grease left on her. Alright, now remember this hole. Remember this hole right here is for your bolt that goes through the carrier. Dang it, son. Ow, JB welded the dome. Oh, that ain't good. How the hell am I gonna get that out of there? Okay. Got that lined up. Now we're ready for our retainer bolt. Now that I've been stabbed in the forehead with JB Weld 100 times, I look like I've been in a war probably. Alright. You already know I don't give a damn about torque specs, so this is gonna get the old redneck hand torque check. Spin this around so we can have a look-see. Alright. So, as you can see, there is the Lockrite. There is the Lockrite installed. It has a little bit of space in the middle, it looks like, so it can move around. And those teeth let loose whenever you're trying to turn. And next time you see me, it's going to be a driving video. And we will address any complaints that people have had with this thing, my opinion, all that good stuff. Just a little recap. We popped both axles in a little bit, pulled the C-clips out, pulled the gears out, but left the spacers, the small spacers on each side. First thing we did was install the left driver gear, which is just like this one over here. Then we installed the shear pins in this piece. Then installed it. Installed the cap over the C-clip on the inside. Next we went and we installed this driver. C-clip. Then we installed this. These flat sides are turned the other way so they can clear the carrier. It goes in and you turn it. And then there's an open area for you to slide your C-clip in. And it actually guided our C-clip in. So it wasn't hard at all. Got our C-clip in, we pushed this back up against the drive gear, and we had the spacer already glued inside there with grease. We slid the spacer in, we slid the shear pins over that were in these windows. We slid them over, and then we put springs in behind them that lock down on the inside of this spacer. After that, we aligned the middle, the pinion, with the pinion hole on the carrier. Got it through, got the hole on the right side, installed the retainer bolt, and now all that's left to do is to clean this all up, get as much trash as I can out of it. I got a new gasket for the cover. I'm gonna clean up the cover, get it back on there, get it put back together, and there will be a driving video soon. If I don't put the driving video in with this video, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the driving video. Not missing my stapler. Man, this is crusty. I didn't even need. Wow, I just rubbed all that shit right back on me.